Hello! Welcome to week 6 of the Math Map, Division. This week was amazing. The Math Map taught me to think of division in a whole new way, and I have had so many conversations with lots of people about this. Did you know that division is repeated subtraction? I will go into detail about this amazing, mind-blowing fact in just a moment, because covering the new grammar first will make it easier to follow my explanation, and our division song, which I will sing later in the video as well. Our family has Bible hymn time right before we go into the Math Map. So on day 1 of our week 6 in the Math Map, I intentionally practiced our Genesis 1 song. We counted how many times the word divided was used in Genesis 1. Then my 4-year-old got so excited when she heard the word multiply in the latter half of Genesis 1. So we counted how many times multiply was used. This was a great segue into our Math Map time. We always start our Math Map time with flashcards, and this week I used these new flashcards that I really like. They are triangular and allow for us to recite the addition and subtraction facts. You can cover up the sum for addition, and then you can cover up an addend and turn it into the difference for subtraction. I found this resource very helpful. Then we moved into our discussion about the cover art. Since we had just refreshed our memory about Genesis 1, Michelangelo's painting of separation of light from darkness was a great illustration to begin our conversation on division. We were able to discuss God separating the light from the darkness on the first day of creation, and God creating the firmament and dividing the waters from the waters on the second day. We even sang the first part of Genesis 1 song again. Since my kids are 4 and 8, I tend to skip the quotes this year due to time and attention constraints. I know my kids will read and understand them better in the future, and this will keep the cover fresh for next year as well. For the essay, I only touched on 2 points. First, division is separating something into parts. And second, how our sin divides us or separates us from God. But in Christ, our sin is separated from us as far as the east is from the west, as we see in Psalm 103:12. Then we turned to page 1 and learned the new grammar for week 6. Remember, new grammar is memorizing the language, so don't stress if they don't understand the concepts just yet. It will click, just like in all of our other subjects where we memorize first, then understand deeper later. Ready for new grammar for week 6, division? Here we go. Dividend. Dividend. I sign a D for dividend, and then I sign end. Dividend. Then I whisper the number being divided. I use that phrase because it's in our song later. So dividend. Divisor. Divisor. I do the first sound and the last sound. Divisor. Quotient. I make our cue for quotient. So we memorized and recited this set of new grammar to the tune of London Bridge is Falling Down. You ready? Dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient. Now you're wiser. Want to hear it again? Dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient. Now you're wiser. The kids loved this. Now to explain my major mathematical moment with the Math Map this week. Flip to chart page C62. Look in the naturals domain box, and here you will see division may be thought of as repeated subtraction with the goal of finding the number of times the subtraction is needed to return to the origin. Remember the grammar origin for the real number line? The origin 0 is the reference point on the coordinate axis for all measurement. So take a look at the example. I wrote it here so that we can see it. 12 divided by 4 equals. And we know the answer is 3, but watch how they did it in this example on the concept teaching. Instead of dividing, we're going to subtract, and we're going to subtract the divisor over and over until we reach 0, the origin. Ready? Instead of saying 12 divided by 4, we're going to say 12 minus 4 equals 8. Are we at 0 yet? No. 8 minus 4. So we subtract again. 8 minus 4 equals 4. Are we at 0 yet? No. Let's repeat the subtraction process. 4 minus 4 equals 0. We're at 0. How many times were we able to subtract 4 from 12? Ready? 1, 2, 3. And that's your quotient. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Isn't that cool? So how many times are you able to subtract the divisor from the dividend till you reach 0? Okay. Did you know that quotient comes from the Latin word quotiens, which means how many times? How many times can we subtract the divisor from the dividend is the quotient. Want to see another example? 25 divided by 5. Instead of saying 5 times what equals 25, we can say 25 minus 5 over and over until you hit 0. Then count how many times you subtracted 5. 25 minus 5 equals 20. 20 minus 5 equals 15, so on and so forth, till you reach 0. 5 minus 5 is 0. How many times was I able to subtract 5 from 25? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's your quotient. Isn't that cool? The way I was taught division was through multiplication. Start with the dividend and solve. To solve for the quotient, you ask what number times the divisor equals the dividend. And yes, multiplication is the inverse operation of division, and you certainly can perform division by thinking of multiplication. But thinking of division in terms of multiplication was still really hard for me as a kid because multiplication was a relatively new concept for my little 8 or 9-year-old self. But had I been taught the simple phrase, division is repeated subtraction, I would have found division much easier and not nearly as daunting. After having this magical mathematic moment, I asked Tristan, have you ever been taught that division is repeated subtraction? And he said he hadn't, but that makes so much sense. And come to think of it, it explains a proof in abstract algebra he had to do for division theorem, where you subtract over and over to get a quotient and a remainder. So you may already be thinking, okay, but what if you can't reach 0 by subtracting over and over? Let's say you're trying to divide 24 by 5. That's how you find the remainder. 24 divided by 5 with repeated subtraction would look like this. 24 divided by 5. We're going to subtract 5 over and over till we get as close to 0 as possible without passing it. And the leftover amount would be your remainder. So 4 minus 5 is -1. That would pass 0. So we are not going to do that. We're going to count how many times we did subtract 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the number that we are left with becomes our remainder. So that is our last grammar for division week 6. Remainder. And I just sign an R. Remainder. That's the amount left over if the divisor doesn't divide the dividend, or if through repeated subtraction, you get as close to 0 as possible, but can't reach it. In context, we have learned 1D with the number line and movement along the number line with addition, subtraction, then repeated addition, which is multiplication. So if multiplication is repeated addition, and division is the inverse operation of multiplication, then why haven't I ever heard that division is repeated subtraction, the inverse operation of addition? Did you catch all that? And you can see how the multiplication symbol and the addition symbol look similar. And have you ever noticed that the obelisk, the division symbol right here, looks like the subtraction symbol? All of this led to the lyrics for the division song. Before I sing that to you, our final sentence we memorized this week is this. Division is the inverse operation of multiplication. And it works vice versa as well. Multiplication is the inverse operation of division. Whew! All of that new grammar makes me want to sing a song. Are you ready to hear the division song? Division is the inverse operation of multiplication. It's repeated subtraction to get the quotient. First you take the dividend, the number being divided, and subtract the divisor over and over till you reach 0 or get a remainder. Then you count how many times you subtracted. You can find the division song with all 3 verses here. Since my eldest is in integers, she memorized a positive divisor preserves dividend direction. A negative divisor reverses dividend direction. This gave her the framework for why a negative dividend divided by a negative divisor equals a positive quotient. It was similar to the concept she memorized last week for multiplication. A positive first factor preserves the direction of the second factor. But if the first factor is negative, it plays a reverse card on the second factor and reverses the second factor's direction. Our gospel connection was Genesis 1 and Psalm 103:12, which I referred to earlier. There is something so sacred about mathematics when we study these concepts, starting with the fear of the Lord, acknowledging our Creator and admiring how the creation account displays both division and multiplication. So there you have week 6. I hope you found this video and our division songs helpful. If you did, please subscribe and share. And thank you for watching and have fun learning.